This is the second, hopefully, short little video. I'm not allowed to tell you where I am while I'm in Mongolia. It's nice here. Sitting in a little room. Paid 15 USD for this room. This video is going to be about how to use the read PDF file. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, a lot of you probably have these other systems that read a whole big PDF file and all this, but you know, if you read this whole file into Excel, it'll clunk around and take a whole long time. I think it's so much faster to just go to the internet, copy and paste the data into Excel, and then you want to just reformat it. And the reformatting process really takes these numbers, converts the, make sure the minus is a minus, and puts all this stuff in one single column, just moves around the columns. You can look at the file. And I've told you a lot that the file is one of the key files on the whole website, really. It's this read PDF file. Okay. You can also get it by, I'm not on the internet in my little place here, you can get it by going here. And all these videos will be summarized in this section. And then if you have my disk, excuse me, we'll go to the folder, chapter number 1, and folder number 12, and we'll get in folder number 12. Got some documentation, but we just open the read PDF file. Okay, now I've made a few changes on this, minor changes. I've tried to put some instructions. For example, in this instruction I said, look, you've got to download from this Google Chrome rather than Firefox for some reason, and some other instructions. And I've got some instructions on the union function here. Okay, and then on the bottom it says Shift Control A. So all you do is you can press Control Tab sometimes. This worked. And when you press Control Tab, it's just switching from sheet to sheet. Okay, and why don't we go to the profit and loss statement, which is the first one we started with. Now, when you press Shift Control A, okay, the first thing is, this one is for our typical kind of format. This one is for that format from Firefox, but it's frankly a little more difficult to work with. This one is when you have a couple of different columns, some with data and some with text. Sometimes it works. And this one, there can be real horrible problems when the downloading doesn't work properly. And finally, this is one where I'm really working on this. I'm finishing this. But when you have formats where you have spaces, a European kind of format where you have spaces instead of commas and all that, that's a lot more difficult to work with. Now, the big thing you sometimes have to change is this column number, okay? And you often have to press this one that says reset the column number. I'll try to explain that in just a minute. And finally, I want to show you how to work with some of these adjustments, okay? Let's just, for now, the first thing I would do is just simply try it. And if you have number 1, it just will go and try to figure out how many columns there are in the data. Now when you press this button, it saw these notes as numbers, so it put 3 columns, and you don't really want these notes as columns. You want these notes to be in the part of the titles. Okay, so I'm going to press Alt-L, delete the sheet. Okay, and we'll go back and try it again. Now, when you press it again, let's press Shift Control A, it will leave a 3. It'll say, I found 3 columns of data. So you can press that to 2. Now the other thing you can do is down here, and I'm probably going to adjust this eventually as well. But there are all sorts of problems here. So one of the things we can do is remove those numbers. For right now, I'm not going to remove the numbers, those notes. And the reason you want to do this is because when you're comparing from year to year to year, you don't want all the different titles. So sometimes it might say revenues. And sometimes you might want to remove the parentheses because the numbers have a parentheses. I'm going to not remove that. And this combine rows, it's not a very good description, but sometimes you read data in different rows. And you can have, and the trim data takes some extra spaces away, I think. So I'm going to do all that, and then these remove dots, that could be if a special case where you have a little dot. No, it's not a special case. Sometimes you have all those horrible, little dots all the way in the title. Okay, so let's just leave those out, and then let's do this again. So we do this, and then you see how it puts the notes here. Okay, and it puts a comma with the notes. All right, and we've got it formatted. All right, now if we go back, Shift Control A, okay, and this time we go down to the adjustments and conversions. And let's just, how about this, remove the comma. Let's trim the data. I forgot exactly what that does. I'm embarrassed to say. In case there's a parentheses, we'll do that. And this one occasionally, oh, this is a big one. Sometimes you have names which are exactly the same. And when the names are exactly the same, it could be, I don't know, something like, trying to think, accounts receivable or something could be in 2 places for some reason. That no, deferred tax assets. Oh, deferred tax assets could be in current assets and long-term assets. And we want to remember that we have both of them and keep them separate, okay, with a different name. That's what this does, okay? So let's try that, and then let's just do the reformatting again. Okay, and you notice that this, it took away the numbers. It left a dot here. Did you see how it left a dot? So let's delete that, and let's go back. Press Shift Control A, and also remove the dot. Okay, and then we press Shift Control. And these things, I did not make this special for Carlsberg or anything else. That just happens. It just happens. It's a typical kind of thing. Okay, and the reason we want this is for the next steps. Now let's, before we continue, let me show you 2 other things. Okay, if this was the Firefox, you notice there are 3 lines sometimes and 2 lines. Okay, and if you press Shift Control A, I don't think it's going to work, but if we format this as with multiple rows, now I did all these special adjustments. Let's just do this without that. Okay, so what it tries to do is it tries to go and format this, but we had a little bit of a problem with the notes. So that's why the Firefox doesn't really work quite as well, unfortunately. Okay, maybe I'll be able to fix that one day. Okay, and now I'm just going to pause this. Well, I'll do it here. Okay, just a minute. I've got some, this is a summary statement. So there's a nice little summary they present with how much beer they sold, how many soft drinks they sold, and all that. But this time, you notice it goes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Now, if you press Shift Control A, well, oops, excuse me. Let's exit without reformatting. Okay, let's do this one just one more time. Okay, you notice, of course, not of course, but I keep the original data just so you can check it out. If I made some stupid kind of mistake, you can check it out. And the program just says, okay, make a new sheet and do all your work in a new sheet rather than an existing sheet. Copies the sheet. I think there's an option for you not to copy it. So let's press Shift Control A again. Now we have 1, so it's going to find and it's going to do 3. We delete it. We go to Shift Control A and we switch it to 2 rows. So I'm just repeating this key kind of thing. Okay. I'm going to delete that. Now we go to this summary page that had 5 rows. Shift Control A, it's got 5 rows. You can either switch it to 5, or if you want, you can reset the column width. When you reset, I can't figure out how to, when I reset it, to keep the menu there. I'm sorry. And then you go to this one, and it figures out that there are 5. Shift Control A, and if you wanted to change this to 6 or something like that, you could change that to 6. Okay, so that's the read PDF. That's really one of the key files on the disk. I can't get people to get interested in this file for some reason, and of course in the Google it doesn't ever show up. You'd have to probably wouldn't even show up anywhere on Google. You'd have to go about 300 pages down if you could even find it. Read PDF. There are all these people who sell this stuff. I don't have to remind you that this is free. Okay, so that's reading the PDF files, and you can see that it's specifically structured for reading in financial statements.